And welcome back to Sports on Tap. I am Ed Dick down here in Studio J with Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, and Sean Duffy. Week 8 is in the books, and we are fortunate to have one of the voices of Wayne County's Rittman Indians, Garrick Di Salvo. He is, I was fortunate enough to be on his broadcast of the game at halftime. We are fortunate to have him here today to talk a little bit of Rittman Indian Football, as well as Wayne County Athletic League, and to get Garrick's thoughts on what's going on up here. Garrick is one of my best friends. He was in my wedding, and just like 3 out of 4 of us, a proud graduate of the Brunswick Blue Devil program. Garrick, how are you doing today, sir?
How you doing, Eddie?
We're doing great, man. I'm doing great. Well, let's talk about that. Let's just jump into it, man. Let's talk about Rittman football. I mean, I was listening to the end of the game. You had quite the pointed observations about having indigestion during the last couple of drives, amongst some other emotions that were elicited. But huge victory for Rittman, 20-17 win. Let's talk a little bit about the game and just what this meant to the program out there.
Yeah, for those of you unfamiliar with Rittman, we're a small community right outside of Wadsworth, about 5 minutes. The Indians over the past couple of years, really since about 2005, have struggled mightily. Being a smaller community with the likes of Northwestern and Sterling and Chippewa around us, teams that have really thrived over the past couple of years due to bigger enrollment. For Rittman to get to 5-5 this season is pretty impressive overall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and they're at least guaranteed a 5-5 season. They're 5-3 right now, and they got obviously some very tough competition. They end the season with Creston Norwayne, a neighborhood rival, but their next game here against Waynedale. I mean, we were talking about this last Tuesday. Waynedale is a team that could be had if they're if things go right, much like what happened here with Northwestern.
Well, yeah, I'm going to clear the air right now. Last Tuesday, you did call it a trap game, and you were correct. I mean, I think Northwestern came in really overlooking the Indians at 5-2, and what a game it was. For them to stretch themselves now to play Waynedale, a team that was picked to do very well in the WCL conference, who hasn't had that success for one reason or another. It's going to be tough for them still. They're still a big team. I mean, down here, they grow them big. I mean, the offensive linemen around here are good-sized boys. I think it's all the corn they eat or something. But, Waynedale's a big team. They've got some speed, and, a team that I don't think Rittman should overlook as part of their trap. Norwayne is just a different beast altogether. A state champion a couple of years ago, and they really seem to be clicking on everything that they have. Their running game is fantastic. But the Indians, like I said, to get to the point where they're at right now, 5-3, I don't think anybody had them picked to do that.
Now, Garrett, they're having a great year. This is Rob Troutman. Thanks for joining us today.
As always, sir.
Great to talk to you. Talk a little bit about the whole season as a whole here with these guys. They won 5 games. Who did they beat? And, maybe some bumps in the road. Who did they face so far this year?
Well, we opened up with our Sister of the Blind, and we did really good against them. Didn't
see you guys coming today.
Never had a clue. They kept getting caught up in their nun outfits. It was cool. Anyway, we opened up with Richmond Heights, and it was a good game. Richmond Heights being a smaller school from up north. And then they went down to Mapleton and South Central, which is in the Firelands Conference down here outside of Ashland. And they played 2 good games. Mapleton had stomped us. Actually, when I was doing the stats for that game, it was 143-14 over the past 4 years.
Wow.
So that kind of tells you that, Mapleton had a powerhouse team. And they were an average team in that Firelands Conference. But they took it to Mapleton, and then they went into a surrounding school by the name of Doughton, and they beat up on the Bulldogs a little bit. And then they got roughed up by Hillsdale, and Chippewa, Doylestown, who is a phenomenal team in their own right. I know Ed's probably talked about Brunswick running the wing tee. They run a wing tee that's got so much motion, I get sick in the box watching it. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous to watch these guys. And they've been in the playoffs the past 2 years as well. A very well-coached team out there. But they got roughed up pretty good. The Smithville game, Smithville is a predominantly big team, and they've struggled the past few years, but they're starting to put it together. It was a little bit closer than people thought, but they were never really got the grasp to go ahead and win that game. And then the big win this week over Northwestern really has these kids on some high hopes.
Yeah, a lot of these kids have had some nice games. Why don't you talk a little bit about the team and some of the players and kids that have stepped up this year that our listeners might not know about on Rittman?
I'll tell you right now, you're gonna be in disbelief with the numbers that some of these kids put up on Friday. Go ahead, Garrick.
Yeah, Friday night was just I don't even know how to put it. I mean, the numbers that we had, 144 yards on the ground from a 155-pound running back, if he's
wow.
that. I mean, he might be 5'8". I mean, he came out. This kid, by far, I mean, down here you have some big backs, and they put up big yards. But this kid, I have never seen him go down on one tackle. I mean, it takes 2, 3, 4. I mean, even in the broadcast I said Friday night, 6 kids took him. It took 6 kids to tackle him, Miller.
Wow.
Josh Miller is that kid's name. The quarterback, we finally had a decent passing game. I think he put up 186 yards, which is pretty good for the quarterback. Quarterback's never really been a strong point at the city of Rittman and Rittman Indians. More of a running back, but he sat back in the pocket. He got some time. He threw some yards. I think he had 2 touchdowns, which is great. And then the defense, what a defensive game that was. I mean, we had 6 interceptions total, and one kid had 4 interceptions in the game, Matt McMillan, who also is a wide receiver, and he's also the kicker and punter for the team.
Wow.
And I have to say this because Ed's sitting there, and Ed was a kicker. I mean, he's going to say I was also a free safety, but whatever. He was a kicker. All right. And, this kid, I mean, this is my 3rd year calling Indians game. We didn't even attempt a field goal last year. And this kid is, I think, 7 for 10. He's got a 35, a 38, and a 40-yarder. I mean, it's just unbelievable to see this kid actually kicking and making field goals. I mean, we didn't even go for an extra point last year. We went for 2-point conversions the whole time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, kind of a difference to the game. He was a difference maker all the way around, and I mean, he should seriously get some consideration for some type of a award in the WCAL.
Geez, 4 interceptions. I mean,
he was on. I mean, it's not like Northwestern had a bad quarterback. A fantastic quarterback, and this guy was guarding a kid who was 6'5".
Holy
and
cow.
He might be 5'9". I mean, he just had an excellent game. Just read the ball very well, watched a lot of film, and did good.
Very impressive.
We talked about some of these players here. I mean, what's the makeup of the team as far as grade-wise? I mean, is Rittman a mostly senior-centric team, or is it we have a lot of underclassmen that can contribute for beyond this year?
Well, I'm going to shock you guys right here. There's 28 kids on the team.
Wow. So a lot are probably going and playing both ways, offense and defense, I'd imagine.
Yeah. You got 28 kids total. You got 8 seniors, some juniors. You have 2 sophomores on the team. Wow. And then you have the rest are freshmen.
Holy cow.
So it's a very, like I said, we're a very small school. We are the smallest school in Wayne County. And when you've got different things like soccer, and nothing against soccer or any other sport, but, you're pretty much competing with every sport to try to get kids out for your sport.
Yeah, and that's tough. And that's tough in a small school setting down there, especially with the traditional football powerhouses that you have down there. So, I mean.
And a lot of these schools don't have soccer, so they don't have that competition between sports, They don't have golf. They don't have tennis, so you don't see that type of stuff.
Yeah, so it's easier for teams like a Smithville or especially a Norwayne, for example, to be able to, really focus in on the football, build their programs up from the youth programs all the way up to the varsity level. Instead of being feeder systems for some of the bigger schools around the area, which sometimes happens to Rittman. I know there's some people that some good athletes that come out of Rittman that end up unfortunately going elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a big problem down here.
So and then that's a bummer. That's a bummer down there, especially for a smaller school like that. Well, Garrick, we talked we talked about the Wayne County Athletic League a little bit, and you are from up here. You're proud Brunswickian, much like three of us here. We talked a little bit about it last week. Brunswick was unable to solve the Euclid Panthers last week on Thursday. 3-5 overall, 3-2 in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Why don't you talk a little bit about your thoughts about that conference in general, just with everybody in it, and what your thoughts about Brunswick are so far.
Oh, I blame the special teams coach 100% for that loss. I mean, with no doubt in my mind, it was probably special teams in one way or another. So.
Well, I mean, that's the consensus around Brook Park. So there's a there's a petition. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a petition out there.
Oh boy. I mean, I think it's tough. I mean, Ed and I talked about it a little bit, and for Brunswick, who, has kind of been up there and has competed and has done well in their league, to be in the league that they're in now with the Menors and the other team, that's a lot on anybody. And then to switch your offense completely this year and go to a wing, I mean, I couldn't even imagine the nightmare that the coaches must have had drawing all that up, to even game plan against the Strongsvilles, the Medinas, the Menors, it's never easy to begin with, but when you're instituting a brand new offense, that's got to be even tougher.
Garrick, Josh here. Just going back to, the Rittman and the Indians, it's a small school, small community, but how has the community kind of, wrapped itself up in this football team? I mean, now it's, had some success, and, football teams like this that don't have a lot of success, small communities really bind together. So how's the community coming out and supporting the team?
Well, I think they built a golden statue of the coach. It's going to be on Main Street here pretty soon. No, I mean, it's really, really a difference for me to see this year as compared to the other years. I mean, to have an 0-10 year, to have a 1-9 year, and then a 3-7, disappointment was almost expected. And then this year we come into Chippewa and you're 3-0, and you get put up for Game of the Week on Fox 8, and I mean I can't remember how many people voted, but it was so close. I think it was Copley and somebody ended up winning. But, Fox 8 still came down here, which is huge for this small community. And everybody rallied around. The city manager was sending emails saying, hey, vote. And if you can't vote from your computer, come use mine. We'll clear the data. And, I mean, it was really kind of cool to see that. And, now you're starting to see the polls. We kind of take it for advantage in Brunswick of it because, every poll is blue and white and everybody wears blue and white. And now you're starting to see that down here, which is something that I grew up and, I understood. But, some of these younger kids that have never had that success are seeing that, and they're kind of amazed by the whole process,
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Waynedale next week, what? Any chance that, let's see if we can call another trap game here. Waynedale guys, they have to play Rittman after that, or they have to play Smithville after this. So, I mean, what are your predictions for this week, and what's it going to take for Rittman to be successful against the Golden Bears?
They're going to have to stop the running back quarterback combination for sure, because that's their game. They're going to run the ball. There's no doubt about it. And then once they've ran it 4 or 5 times in a row, they're going to look over the middle. So Rittman's going to have to be prepared for that. And I think they're just going to have to play with that emotion that they have, that emotion they came out with last week, even though they went down early. Unfortunately, they had a safety against them real early in the game. They still played emotionally. And, you got to come out and you got to realize that you got something special. I mean, Rittman hasn't been to the playoffs since 2005. And, that was, I think, the last winning season. So, that was a 7-3 year. So for these kids to have something this special, and I saw an interview that actually Matt McMillan, the kid that had the 4 picks, did with the paper. And he said, I remember sitting in the junior high locker room talking about our senior year would be different. And I remember talking to you about that, Ed, and to have that as their basis, I think that'll really help them to play emotionally, to play discipline, to not pick up 6 personal fouls like we did in the last game, which is kind of the norm for us, sadly. I mean, to be prepared for what they're going to throw at you and to play with that emotion and to come out, hot and hopefully, take it to these guys early, because the rumor has it if you go up big on them, in the first quarter by 2 touchdowns or so, they're going to back off.
Well, hopefully we can see the Indians kind of take take that game plan and really have it come to fruition there. Garrick,
Absolutely.
Garrick, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Make sure you listen to if you're not out there able to watch not able to watch a Friday night football game live. Garrick does broadcast the games every Friday night. I believe with was it Larry Covey?
Yeah, Larry Covey.
Larry Covey. They're on I believe it's
locallivesports.com.
You can actually listen to all the Rittman games there, as well as the other Wayne County games. But make sure you give them a listen and cheer on the Indians against the Golden Bears. Garrick, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you here soon.
Yeah, I got a quick question though.
Yes.
What's everybody drinking?
Beverages.
Yeah.
Beverages.
It's we had Coca-Cola and then Bible study before. So I think we're drinking
Chocolate
just
milk.
Coca-Cola.
Chocolate-
Yeah, chocolate milk. There you go.
Come on. I mean, you guys did this. Jeffrey's like got a brewery in his basement or something like that. You know? Don't give me that.
No,
it's too bad
no
we're-
names, please.
We
No
can
names.
neither confirm nor deny that.
Well, the thing is, we're in Studio J, so I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Garrick.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Garrick, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate
All
it.
right, guys. Thanks for having me, guys. Go Blue.
Thanks,
Go on.
Garrick.
That's Garrick Di Salvo, the voice of one of the voices of Rittman Indians football. Huge, he's one of the better football minds that we get to talk to as well. At least definitely from an offensive line standpoint, he was a monster offensive lineman from Brunswick and Malone University, and he's obviously doing analysis for the Rittman football for the last couple of years.
No, great interview.
28 kids, man.
Oh, that's nuts,
That's
isn't it?
crazy.
And only 8 seniors and like 2 sophomores and what was all the rest freshmen? I mean, and they're 5-3 right now, surprising 5-3, and I mean the future looks pretty bright for Rittman, I think. You know what I mean? With that kind of, the young talent's already starting to come around. Pretty impressive.
I think it gives you.
My bad.
Yeah, Josh is getting excited to play the music.
Too many chocolate milks.
Yeah.
No
Do you know
kidding.
what? That gives you a good perspective, though. We talk a lot about some of the bigger schools, some of the bigger conferences, but Rittman has done a great job. They're having a great year. They're a smaller school. And it's fun to talk about schools like that, just like we talk about Buckeye. We love to promote and talk and give credit to some of those kids that are having great years and great interview, and Garrick does a nice job up there, so we appreciate him coming on the show. Right now we're going to step away. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll give some of our Week 9 matchups, our spotlight games, go over some rankings. We'll talk Buckeye Bucks football, along with the Massillon Tigers. All coming up. We're Sports on Tap, partnered with NEO Sports Insiders, presented by RRT Productions. We're coming back. Don't go anywhere.